Stream Elements says, Dice Baggery is now live streaming art. Vtuber draws fake Pokemon Crytures TTRPG.
Hello everybody. I think I'm ready now. We had some hiccups there for a bit, but I think everything's good to go and possibly better than before. Hello Kohat, I see you down there in the Rumble chat. However, it is showing up on the Restream chat, which means I don't need to have tons of windows open, which is pretty awesome. So I can now close the Rumble chat now that I know that it's coming through correctly, and that's part of the reason why I had to restart the stream and like start a new one. And because the Rumble thing, I found out Restream now has Rumble as one of the integrations it has. So I jumped on that as soon as I saw it, but I was not sure if the stream I already had set up was going to work with the integration, and it did not. So I had to stop the first attempt at streaming and try again. So yeah, hello. How's it going, everybody? We're drawing some art. We're drawing art today, like we do every day.
The mouse says, "I'm here. What madness will ensue tonight?"
What madness will ensue? Well, welcome, Cat. Nice to see you back. Oh, we're drawing. You know, the same thing we do every week. Try to conquer the world. But yeah, Dale's over here talking about Gura over in the Discord. The Discord. Gura's graduating. Wow. One of the biggest VTubers says, nope, I don't like being corpo. And it looks, signs are saying she's probably going to go back to being indie like a lot of the others. Which I think is pretty good. And also,
Kohate says, you sound like you're in great spirits. Glad to hear you're doing well.
Yeah, I guess so. I've kind of taken the week off more or less. Like, I didn't do much of anything for Crytures this week. I mostly just vegged out and played Battle Brothers, the best game. And also was dicking around with AI quite a bit. And I made a lot of headway on that. I can do local stuff now. I've got local setups. Nice. And we got, let me see. We can show you one of the things I whipped up. I got a pretty good... let's see. Which one is it? Sort by date. Alright. Most recent one. Let's see. Can I just drop this in? Oh yeah, look at that. Dang it. Loop, dang it. There we go. Look at that. Kitty's nuzzling. And there's barely anything wrong with it. I could probably get away with slapping that in a video as is.
Cat with a mouse says, saw that on the Discord.
Oh wait, hold on a second.
It.
There's something I forgot.
Retro King Joldy says, yo, it's the fake Pokemon you drew that stream. Retro King Joldy says, yo, it's the fake Pokemon you drew that stream.
We're gonna have to close the freaking YouTube chat, otherwise we're gonna get
says,
double.
You got rid of the funked up puppet paw thing.
Alright, YouTube chat, go away. Oh no, wait. Okay, we might have to just get away from YouTube entirely. Yeah, the puppet paw. I didn't actually get rid of it, I just did a different generation and it worked out better. But wait a second, where is...
Cat with a mouse says, weird thing I just noticed is Psychit's crystal looks odd when it turns its head. Retro King Joldy says,
Yeah.
BTW, it's me Jolty Boldy if you don't recognize me because I changed my channel name and PFP.
I figured that was you.
Says, BTW, it's me Jolty Boldy if you don't recognize me because I changed my channel name and PFP.
Where the hell? We're just gonna have to close YouTube Studio, I suppose. Alright. I got my arm. I am no longer armless. Now let's get rid of this freaking animation. You know what? Let's hide it, because I might want to show that off to other people later in the stream that pop in. But yeah, freaking Gura is graduating. And Dale over here in the Discord says, if she's back in full swing, I hope she got no filter.
My comments got doubled.
Yeah, it's fixed. It's fixed. But yeah, Gura, or Sinzawa rather. I looked at some of her stuff from back when she was doing her thing, and she's definitely more edgy when she doesn't have a corpo breathing down her neck, which I suspect is part of the reason a lot of these VTubers are leaving. because most of them are freaking English VTubers with Japanese
Retro King Jolty
companies.
says, final evolution of this Temu Pokemon?
Yes, this guy is Frossom, which is Budley's final metamorphosis. And he is over here fighting Flitter Knight, yes. Sometimes I forget the names that I give the creatures, partly because I've given them multiple names and can't remember which one I decided on.
He has that face on him.
Yeah, that face. That face.
Retro King Jolty says, peak. Kohate says,
there we go.
There's a comic artist that draws exactly that face. It's charming.
Alright, we're gonna have to get a background that actually shows through so I can see the gaps. Let's see. Let's get us
Festiva says,
some green.
Plap 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 plap.
No plapping here. We don't want to plap the cute little butterfly creatures. Or the moth creature.
Cat with a mouse says, see a lot of zigzagoon inspiration in Frossom's body design.
I was not
King
thinking
Jolty
about
says,
that, but I know what you mean. Now
you're
that
the
we'll
only
get it.
male VTuber that I know. Festiva says, butterfly will be plapped.
No plapping.
Festiva says, B. Festiva says, moths will be plapped. Festiva says, you will be plapped.
It's not, it doesn't work like that. We gotta add the trim on these wings though.
Kohate says, Jolty, all the VTubers you know are male, actually, smiley face. Retro King Jolty says, I'm planning to kidnap the Easter Bunny. Festiva says, plap them wings.
Kidnap the Easter Bunny, huh? Is that... Is that the new plot for A Nightmare Before Christmas, the sequel? Nightmare Before Easter? Gonna kidnap the Easter Bunny? I've never seen the movie, so I don't know if that joke will land.
Retro King Jolty says, wait, so my apparent 149 VTuber girlfriends that were victim to my bet that I lost is male? Cat with a mouse says, just remember, if the Easter Bunny disappears, the Easter Beagle will assist.
The Easter Beagle?
Festiva says,
Don't know about that one.
Plap the bunny.
Oh. Alright. There are times when I'm designing creatures that I'm like, this design could use a little more detail or some extra elements to it. And I add them. And then I go back to draw them later in another situation, and I'm like, oh, why did I add all these extra details? They're really annoying to draw. This is one such occasion.
Cat with a mouse says, Easter Beagle is a Charlie Brown cartoon reference.
I don't know no peanuts. I'm not that old. I know it's hard to believe. But I was not really watching Peanuts growing up.
Festiva says, AI art is holy retribution for artists being annoying on Twitter.com.
AI art is doing better
Retroking
things
Jolty says,
now.
That white hair tells otherwise.
Look, the white hair is because my dad had a complete head of white hair, like, for as long as I've known the guy. As far back as I can remember, my dad's had gray hair. Completely gray hair. Even when he was like 40. Or in his late 30s.
Retro King Jolty says,
I just happen to have a lot of that.
back in my day.
Back in my day.
Cat with the Mouse says, I did. They were on Disney Channel back when it used to show old-fashioned cartoons like Sonic the Hedgehog. Festiva says,
Yeah, I wasn't really a
where
Disney
them jiggle
cartoon
physics? SMH
watcher.
not a real Vtuber.
I have physics, they're just in my hair. There, you see? I ain't no thirst tuber. You don't get to see my man boobs jiggle. That is
Festiva says,
not...
that hair don't juggle.
It do. That is not my intended demographic. We don't need no Fujos around here.
Cat with a Mouse says, Pony is the thirsty one in this group. Kohate says, wait, you're not. Kohate says, then what TF am I doing here? Retro King Jolty says,
I don't know what you're doing, Kohat.
Festive, I swear I will press the big red button I stole from North Korea that has coordinates set to your location. Festiva says, eternally raging that I can't get away voice changer working on Linux.
Well, you should just stream as a male VTuber. It's not that bad.
Festive
You might get
says,
less attention.
mate, I assure you I have come to be a living bomb dropped on this chat.
It's not that bad. You might not get as much attention, but the people who are here, I know, aren't here because of my jiggle
Festiva
physics.
says, no, I will stream as Festiva, not myself.
Fool. The internet thrives on something. I forget the word for it.
Or the doctor girlfriend approach. It was shocking at first, but she's grown on me.
There you go. Smoke a few packs before every stream.
Retro King Jolty says, male VTubers don't get as much attention because the female ones have a more down bad community and they are there for the jiggle physics. Cat with a Mouse says, we're here for the Crytures art, game, and lore. Leave the jiggles to the female NPCs.
That's what I'm talking about.
Festiva says, doctor was his boyfriend is neat but you got used to it.
Lore. Should we lore dump? Is there any Crytures lore you guys want me to lore dump on? So I can get away from thirst talking. I need to be writing more lore because I've still got That guy I tapped to write the I don't know what I'm gonna call it. The comic-sized light novel.
Why is Cheapy undead?
Okay, first of all, the undead type has been changed to the death type because undead is very limiting, so I went and changed that.
The talking will continue. Sorry Kohate, but flat girls are Kino. Retro King Joldy says, I don't have much to do today, so I'm staying in the stream longer than I usually do. Smiley
That's good
face.
to hear. But Cheapy is death type because, I mean, what else would a chicken be, really? Also, it's kind of a joke on a Monkey Island gag. El Pollo Diablo. You guys know about El Pollo Diablo?
Kohate
Have you
says,
guys even played Monkey Island?
I don't think flat girls aren't Kino though.
Come on, we all know flat
Retro King Joldy
is
says,
suboptimal.
what types are there?
What types are there? You should
Cat with the
check
mouse
out the
says,
Crytures website in the
chicken of
description.
dead. Never played Monkey Island. Kohate says, everyone knows the devil chicken.
Yes, the devil chicken. Cohead knows the devil chicken. Hell yeah. Alright. Jolty, we're gonna need you to go to Crytures.com and let's see. Go to the World tab. Just the main thing, not one of the sub areas.
Festiva says, too late Kohate, I made a uplore this lore about you, now it sticks. Daladakarai Pop says, devil hot wings.
Dale, did you just come in here or did I miss you before? Welcome, Dale. But anyways.
Kohate says, you can't send us to the wiki, you've gotta inform us, Mr. Bag.
Hit
us with
I'm on the page right now.
Retro King
the
Jolty
types
says,
are
I'm in the website, thanks.
aberrant, air,
Cat with
beast,
the mouse says,
celestial,
he just
construct, death, earth, fairy, fire, ice, lightning, martial, plant, poison, psionic. We got a lot of P's.
Says,
and last but not least, water. Dale, I didn't see you in that stream. You weren't chatting as far as I could tell. How would I know? Alright, I don't like this wing, by the way.
Cat with a mouse says, what web page is that list on?
It's partway down the world page, just like the main page of the world, not the organizations or the regions tab, just the main page.
Object permanence is a tragedy. Daladakarai Pop says, because you restarted it. Festiva says, speaking of, I need to find someone here I can stick the foot fetish to and enforce gaslighting until it becomes accepted. Retro King Joldy says, you need a cosmic type. Do the thing that Pokemon never done.
Cosmic type would be a celestial type.
I was about to say something and then it vanished. Cat with a mouse says, found it.
Also, Ponyboy is the fetishist around here, Festiva. He's the only one.
What? Festiva says, no, it's not fun if the fetish is real.
We're gonna make these wings a little more like angular, because they're supposed to be like made out of glass.
Kohate says. LMAO. Cat with a Mouse says. I think 1 or 2 Pokemon fan games / ROM hacks included the cosmic type. Can't remember their names.
Yeah, Celestial would include things like that. In Crytures.
Retro King Jolty says.
Celestial deals with...
Okay then. We need a corrupted type.
That's Aberrant.
Festive
I'm telling you, I
says,
got you covered. All the types are
we
covered.
talking ROM hacks now? Have you heard of this little one called Pokemon Clover? Retro King Jolty says.
I saw Dingus playing Clover
CORR
before.
up like evil looking, dark magic, smiley face.
Oh, I do have in the works a mechanic for variant creatures.
Festiva says. Unbound is unironically good. Retro King Jolty says. Man, screw these ideas. Daladakarai Pop says. No like hit comic book, Metamorphosis. Cat with a Mouse says.
No, not like the comic book
I
Metamorphosis.
Clover 2. Plan to restart it at some point. Festiva says. Pokemon Glazed is a certified classic.
Pokemon Glazed sounds like something we wouldn't play on stream. Not that I play anything on stream. Ain't nobody got time for that. Let's get some of these gaps. I don't see too many gaps here.
Festiva says. No, it's perfectly fine, but it's considered classic.
I don't think I've ever played a Pokemon ROM hack.
Stream Elements says. Good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
That's right, boys.
Festiva says. I think the first major one for GBA that has original story and region and all that. Cat with a
Getting
Mouse
this
says.
faceted thing is going to take a
Go
little
for
bit
the ones
of
that have new stories
focus.
or regions. Otherwise, you're just replaying the OGs with different monsters. Festiva
Yeah,
says.
that's kind of...
Even has a fan updated version called Glazed.
Definitely wouldn't really care to just replay old Pokemon games. Even when they do like a remake or something, I've always, like, historically, I've picked them up, I've played them for a little bit, and then I just, like, dump them. Because I'm like, oh, this is like the other one that I already played. We're gonna have to get the group together for another session too,
Liquid
by the
Crystal
way.
is a neat Gen 2 remake for GBA up until introducing an original evil team that comes in and takes over the story like Sara in a random Disney property.
I got some new mechanics worked out for the whole tracking minigame. That's a little less tedious. I need to try it out. Actually, I need to, I need to get back and do more recordings for the solo campaign too, because I have been slack on that. I didn't even upload anything this week to the Crytures channel. I'm falling off, guys, already. I think we'll be better after this week, though. I've been really, like, tired.
Festiva says. Unbound is good though, that and Clover are my two top ROM hack recommends. Cat with a Mouse says.
That's nice. I don't know anything
about
about
saw,
them.
Pokemon Evolved, has hundreds of new designs and evos for the classic decks. Unfortunately, it follows the same OG story.
If there's one game that I would like to see a more roguelike version of, it would probably be Pokemon, because literally all I care about Pokemon is like collecting things, and like it seems like that would be the ideal setup.
Retro King Jolty says. What is a construct type like?
Construct types are literally just like man-made creatures. So they would be golems and all that good stuff.
Kohate says. Hot take, Pokemon Pinball was the best Pokemon. Daladakarai Pop says. Don't say those cursed words, Dicebag.
What, roguelike? Look, the thing is, most roguelikes suck, but it's not because they're roguelikes, it's because they only use like the most basic bitch roguelike elements. They don't try to do anything like interesting. There are roguelike elements that are good, but the whole thing where everything is just like one run and oh, everything you did is gone. All the progress you made, pop, bam, no more. Hate it. Can't stand it. Like, the ideal type of roguelike setup, I think, would be like how, what do you call that game? Cult of the Lamb. The way that one kind of does it, where you've got like a main section.
The /v/board made Clover.
You got
Grass
the main
type
section
starter is named Grasshole.
where you're like
Fire
building
type
your
is a
base
bomb
and
that
stuff like
becomes a
that.
Middle
You got a
Eastern
little bit of
terrorist,
town
and the water
building.
one is a coom joke.
You got a little bit of town building going on. But like in between that, there's like the main game portion where you're going like one run at a time, and like that's where you collect all your
Retro King
resources
Jolty
and
says,
stuff.
Do you have rarities? Like legendaries or mythics?
Rarity would mostly be determined by the danger of the creature. That's kind of like how rarity is. But yes, there are mythic creatures, and mythic creatures have a big spot in the lore. Mythic creatures are how nobility is chosen, and because mythic creatures basically rule over a section of the world.
Festiva
So
says,
capturing a mythic creature,
something how breedable are they gonna be?
capturing a mythic creature imparts to the conjurer the divine right to rule over that portion of the land. You know what, Festiva? Why don't you go over to Crytures.com and look up the Creature Codex, and you decide for yourself which ones you think are breedable.
Retro King Jolty says. Want more lore? You should do something with ancient types or rarities. Festiva says. I dunno. Link says. I've received 100 messages today with Restream chat. Daladakarai
Oh,
Pop
thanks,
says,
Restream.
I miss like 3 streams in a row and know it's gotten wild. Cat with a mouse says,
We've picked up a few, Dale.
not the Vaporeon copy pasta again. Retro King Jolty says, ancient rarity for stuff that is extremely long living and maybe created the world. Festive Festiva
Those
says,
would not be creatures.
did you know?
Yeah, the ancient rarity that you're thinking of would not be a creature. Creatures did not create the world.
Festive Festiva says, every furry type is a form of furry or lizard. Game Freak got the freak going on. Retro King Jolty says, man, screw these concepts.
No.
Retro King Jolty says, what is the dragon type based off of?
What do you mean the dragon type? Creatures doesn't have a dragon type.
Festive Festiva says, Dragon D's.
I finally got around to watching some VTubers play Schedule 1, by the way. That looks like it might actually be like a legitimately well crafted mechanically game. I might have to give it a try. Probably not on stream because who got time for that?
Retro King Jolty says, I meant like the dragon type from Pokemon? Is there any types in Crytures that is based off the dragon type from Pokemon? Festive Festiva says, looks good but I've watched too much of it.
There are no dragon type equivalents in Crytures.
Daladakarai Pop says, I have no idea what Schedule 1 is.
Schedule 1 is a video game where you sell drugs. But as far as dragon-like creatures would go, they would simply be, well, they'd just be whatever. They just would be whatever the type they are. Like Charizard would be
Kohate
a
says,
freaking fire creature.
I have a new policy where I don't play any game that costs more than $100,000 to make, and SCHED1 kind of validates that.
That's what I'm saying. If you spend too much on like all the assets and whatnot, then people lose sight of the actual gameplay.
Festive Festiva says, Kohate. In that case I have some to how Fang aims for you.
Big budget games are missing the point these days. I don't know why it's so hard for game companies to actually make
Kohate's policy
games
is
with
just
good
I only
mechanics.
play roguelike shovelware. Kohate says, dude, I am actually Touhou's biggest hater recently NGL.
Touhou's biggest hater? What's going on with Toho? What's wrong with that?
Festiva says. Prove it.
What did the Tuhu do?
Daladakarai Pop says. TBF Toho was always overrated. Festiva says. I will only dump more Tuhus in the server as my drawings.
Tuhu was overrated, huh? I never saw the appeal of Tuhu.
It's not Toho, it's the fans. And it's their incessant weirdness about the property. Festiva says.
That's fair.
TF you mean overrated, it's only just becoming notnage. Cat with a Mouse says. People made ROM hacks under the franchise of Tuhuman.
Tuhuman? Interesting. Not that I'd play
Festiva says. Good. Toho needs gate kept.
It feels like Toho
says. It may just now be becoming mainstream,
latched
but maybe it shouldn't be mainstream.
Because people made fan art of the characters early on and everybody was like, oh! Because that kind of fan art.
Festiva says. It shouldn't be because its strengths come from not being mainstream.
Gotta like how I'm like, oh, a thing, I have no interest in the thing, and then chat immediately begins like, how about that thing?
Retro King Joldy says. Crytures gives me Pokemon Isekai vibes.
Pokemon Isekai vibes. I am legitimately trying to make this a
Cat with a Mouse
well
says,
divorced from Pokemon.
At least try
things.
the Tuhuman revised ROM hacks at some
Beyond
point.
like the main.
They do a good job of altering the Pokemon formula enough
like
to make
the
it
main
unique.
kind of vibe. The whole thing with the fantasy world and whatnot. Like we're straight up throwing out most of the Pokemon.
So how about them souls likes dice bag LOL?
No, we're throwing out most of the Pokemon conventions. That's a good one. That's a good one to use.
Toho was made by a Digin creator for Digin fans and creators. It being mainstream will remove the tightness of the community and how genuinely ground up everything is.
Speaking of Souls-likes, man, that's freaking all Nimi is playing.
Daladakarai Pop says. Hehe.
Why my Oshi's always got to play things I don't care about?
Kohate says. I don't think anyone is arguing with you Festiva, everyone here is a Toho hater and doesn't want it in the mainstream. Cat with a Mouse says. So they're obsessed with lies of P, like I am? Festiva says. Get your head out the gutter. Djinn doesn't mean sin, it means self-published. Daladakarai Pop says. Oh, she's playing RimWorld RN nice.
Yeah, she just started up RimWorld. I have actually not seen anyone play RimWorld ever.
Festive Festiva says.
Maybe I popped
You're
in
all
on
wrong
one
for
stream
hating
at some
such a
point.
based property.
Toho is just boring, man. I don't see anything to it.
Daladakarai Pop says. Yeah, but the good Djinns are loot Ionis. Kohate says. RimWorld is easily one of the best roguelikes. Retro King Jolty says. I'm gonna go now. CYA bro. Festive Festiva
Alright,
says.
see you around.
You see boring.
Jolty.
I see the perfect fairy tale setting.
That's nice. That's nice. I like Crytures though.
Daladakarai
I like
Pop
settings
says.
like Crytures.
Shut Kohate.
Is RimWorld really a roguelike? Or is it one of those games that's like, it has roguelike elements? Because that's the thing, is like,
Festive Festiva says.
the good
Also, no, not
roguelikes,
all good
quote
Dojins are
unquote,
porn.
roguelikes,
Kohate says.
don't play
Why
like
am
your
I
average
being told to
roguelike.
shut? Cat with a mouse says. I was into tournament for a while, but it lost my interest. Kohate says. What have I said that's objectionable? Daladakarai Pop says. No, it is not a roguelike.
This shit is gonna scare away first-time chatters so hard.
Festive Festiva says. I scare all chatters so hard.
I think you scare the streamers too.
Daladakarai Pop says. Dwarf Fortress is more a roguelike than RimWorld, and I don't want to call it one either. Kohate says. Certainly extolling the virtues of RimWorld isn't that bad. Festive Festiva says. Perfect.
Dale is treating Dale is treating roguelikes the way I treat RPGs. It's not a real one. It's not.
Cat with a mouse says. And how is that?
Oh, do we want to get into my ideas of what RPGs should be like?
Kohate says. True, and that's so lame. Be more inclusive, Dale. Festive Festiva says. I woke up and choose the villain route. Daladakarai Pop says. You gotta stop calling anything with a game over state and RNG a roguelike.
Okay, my take on RPGs. Most games that are classed as RPGs are not RPGs. In order to be an RPG, let's see, what was the criteria I laid out? It has to have character advancement, mechanically. It has to have, what was the other thing? It has to have decisions that matter, like dialogue
Festiva
options
says,
that change how the
I need to
game
go
plays
infect
out.
another stream with cancer and you all can't stop me. Kohate says,
Alright, bye Festiva.
I will not stop calling anything with a game over state and RNG a rouge like.
And final criteria, what was it? The role-playing should be gamified. Like the actual dialogue and whatnot.
Like the Mass Effect trilogy.
Yes, Mass Effect is, in fact, an RPG.
Says, Dicebag said that Dark Souls isn't an RPG and then listed 3 criteria taught Dark Souls filled well.
You know, I've watched enough Souls-like games and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, literally, I don't see any choice that actually makes a difference other than like, oh, I picked this way of going.
Daladakarai Pop says, hold up, that list criteria is a new one.
Is it? Did I not say that one?
Daladakarai Pop says, TBF, no one knows what's going on and that is a problem with the design.
No one knows what's going on for Dark Souls? I could believe that. Every Souls-like game's lore is like convoluted bullshit. And people always like praise FromSoft world building, and I'm like, they don't have world building, they just have lore. Like, none of these worlds they make actually, like, function.
Daladakarai Pop says, I ain't gonna argue against that, LOL.
It's like, oh look, this place has all these people in armor and decked out in like advanced weapons and stuff, and it's like, oh, there's one blacksmith in the entire freaking game. Where do they get all this shit?
Daladakarai Pop says, FromSoft made 3 games with the same history and story and made bank on it like bro.
And I don't begrudge people for making a game like that. I do begrudge the fans for making it out to be something that it ain't.
Daladakarai Pop says, shout out my boy, the giant blacksmith.
The giant blacksmith, like every NPC is like some kind of mythical creature. There are like no normal people in any of these games, and it drives me freaking crazy. Even when you think you met like a normal person, it turns out later like they have some kind of weirdo form that they turn into when you get into a boss fight with them.
Says, we love the giant blacksmith in this household.
Every freaking FromSoft character NPC is just an eldritch horror in disguise, and it drives me crazy.
There are tons of normies in the Souls game though.
The random enemies? By the way, boys, after this is done, we're going to make another design for an artisan
Daladakarai says.
Rando.
Most NPCs in Dark Souls are just humans yet. Kohate says. Nah, it's literally like, hey, I'm Pablo, I'm looking for my buddy, have you seen him? And then you see Pablo 8 hours later at a pond upset that his friend died. Daladakarai
Yeah, see, that's
says,
not even meaningful.
Like you get outliers like the skeleton dwarf bulksmith, the giant blacksmith and the talking birds, but most people are just human.
Let's put it this way, I've never seen a player walk into a town and buy equipment. From a shopkeeper. You know what? I should put
Kohate
lines
says,
for the facets on these
oh
things.
yeah, that's because the world is fun. The last living people in those games are usually the unlucky ones. Daladakarai says. The fact that like almost every fucking quest line is just dudes gonna die lol is annoy as sin.
Yep.
Stream Elements
Not really
says,
interested.
good evening. Mortal
Also not
humans,
interested
make sure
in the
you
gameplay.
subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
Not big on the over-the-shoulder action combat style of play. At least not for like melee-based games. If it's like a tactical shooter, then that's okay. In fact, that would be the preferred format for such a game. But if you got swords and shit, nah. Nah.
Cat with a Mouse says. Again, Mass Effect.
Yes, Mass Effect was basically a perfect storm. And that whole
Daladakarai
genre
Pop says,
has basically been...
Man, I'm so hyped for the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, I hope it's not S.
Another thing I don't care about. Miss me with them Kojima games. Why is it that I always end up hanging out with people who have awful taste in games? Like, it's not just you guys either. Like, all the VTubers I watch are into games that I don't care about. Mint likes Metal Gear. Nemi likes freaking Dark Souls and roguelikes.
Cat with a Mouse says. Can't wait until the sequel finally gets released. Been waiting for years for it.
I'm not sure if I have bad taste in people or bad taste in games. It must be people. because my taste in games is superb.
Daladakarai says, Diakbag, there's a common factor here. Kohate says, have you considered that they may not actually be awful games?
That would be incorrect, Kohate. Also, Geronimo, how did you pronounce my name? Diakbag? I'm not sure.
Says, Dice bag cope.
Oh, you got it then. You said it right that time. What are we doing here? We still need the thingamajigs on the antennas, the glowy bits.
Cat with a mouse says, Dale misspelled your name.
Damn it, Dale.
Daladakarai says, TBF, I misspelled your name, don't blame the TDS for that one.
I didn't even notice. I read it and I didn't even notice. It didn't even occur to me that it was misspelled. Streamer brain is hitting hard already.
Daladakarai says, but he will say the same word wildly different depending on who sends it. I hate that.
Yeah, that happens so often that I just assumed that was the case. Also, I totally forgot that I was gonna like draw in lines for the facets on this guy's wings. Let's do that. This is gonna be tedious. I always do this to myself. Oh yeah, Dale, you were saying on Discord how you hope Gura has no filter if she goes indie. And man, I saw some of the shit she posted on her old account. She's definitely more edgy. All these Japanese agencies just like are too restrictive for the Western VTubers.
Kohate says, I've seen that Sentoa persona for ages, I didn't realize that was her.
I had never seen Shinzawa until recently.
Daladakarai Pop says, yeah, Sentoa was a pre-2018 kinda internet goblin and I'm so keen on that returning to the internet, sure it's slow but it looks like it'll happen.
I would love to see what kind of stream she does when she doesn't have Hololive breathing down her neck.
Daladakarai Pop says, bring back the old web I say.
Hell yeah. The good old days. Hopefully her and Nimi will hook up as well. And if she brings Mint along, even better.
Through the shadows we tread with care. Conjurers unite, we're well aware.
Really crazy how there's just so much.
In the heart of the mall lies grim despair.
So many VTubers just graduating, especially from Hololive, and going indie. Jury's still out on Mume. I don't know what she's doing. She might not keep up with the VTubing.
Daladakarai Pop says, I'd happily fund the Sentoa and Nimai Lords of the Fallen Coop playthrough just to see you seethe.
Now I've seen Gura and I think I'm freaking forgetting. I'm getting all the past lives names mixed up.
Pop says,
Gura and Amelia
was in Gura's stream today.
I've seen Gura and Amelia play Deep Rock Galactic more than once, I believe. And I would be down for that. People be sleeping on Deep Rock Galactic still. What are we doing, boys? What do I need to do to this thing? We need Eye Shine. Excuse me.
Kohate says. No one is sleeping on DRG.
VTubers are, especially big VTubers.
Doom Vegas says. You've like nailed the Pokemon illustration style. I look respectfully. Smiley face. Daladakarai Pop says.
Hello, Doom Vega.
Yeah, cause you like DRG based. So OFC you'd be keen on more VTubers playing it.
Yes, I do like DRG, and that's why I would like more VTubers to play it. It's got a lot of good stuff for them to riff off of.
Everyone Undrich is grinding that rock and stone, brother.
Cohead doesn't like it though. That's how we know he has bad taste.
Kohate says. Nah, DRG is just a very niche game where the fans of it have already found it.
You know what, to be fair, it could have more to it. Like, I'm an advocate of the whole
Kohate says.
Diablo style.
I'm DRG's 78th biggest hater.
Diablo style loot drops and stuff for games like that. I have yet to find like a good looter shooter that kind of gets that feel across.
Kohate would like it if it was a roguelike, let's be honest.
It has the good elements of roguelike, so I don't know why he has a problem with it. DRG is basically a roguelike.
Kohate says. It literally is a roguelike. What are you even on about?
See, Cohead only likes the bad roguelikes. Like Balatro. Or the ones with cards. Where everything's a card. And it doesn't really need to be a card because they don't actually utilize the card game elements. But they're cards anyways.
Daladakarai Pop says. Man. There's so many roguelikes that are just not like rogue at all that it gets confusing.
Yeah. Roguelike doesn't really mean that it's like rogue anymore. It means it has things that are similar. It has similar mechanics that rogue uses. Mechanics similar to what rogue uses. You know what? I've never even seen rogue be played, to be honest. But yeah. You know what? These antennas could use something a little extra in the glowy bits.
Daladakarai Pop says. Also DRG doesn't have the roguelike tag. Daladakarai Pop says. The real roguelike is Nethic. Kohate says. Ogrouge is kinda bussin'. Daladakarai Pop says. I like Nethic LOL. Kohate says. It's my favorite roguelike.
NetHack? I have not played that one. I think we might have to start adding some scenery to this picture, boys. I think I might have done all I can do at the moment. Let's see, what color background you would want? Perhaps more blue?
Daladakarai says. NetHack is basically a rogue clone.
Okay.
Cat with a Mouse says. Battle amongst the flowers. Daladakarai says. Used to all be ASCII too.
ASCII? Okay, maybe I won't try that one. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is we're gonna like throw in some trees as we do. Alright,
Kohate
what's Dale
says,
putting in the stream?
Don't get graphics cooked out of a great game QQ.
The Jinn speaks, I am in your debt, I will grant you one wish. Is NetHack a fantasy game? You know what? That style of that second one you posted looks familiar. Maybe it's just because I played games as a very wee lad in the early days of the game thing. But I have to wonder if I might have played Rogue. If it looks anything like that.
Daladakarai says. Yeah, it's a fantasy dungeon crawler.
Okay, now you have my interest.
Daladakarai says. I like Nethic. It's nice. The most roguelike of roguelikes.
I might have to look it up. But as you can see, boys, we've got a scene looking up.
Macamillianus says. You know. Fantasy is nice, playing a non-fiction dungeon crawler would be awful. XD.
Massimilianus, welcome back. Good to see you.
Daladakarai says.
I would suggest that
And I'll
playing
say it, I even like the ASCII
a
tile set.
dungeon crawler is
Daladakarai
the
says.
ideal fantasy game.
But I play Zork so. Macamillianus says. How's the night going?
We're pretty close to finishing up this first piece, and then we're gonna be designing new characters, I think. At least one.
Macamillianus says. Nice.
I want to make some more generic NPCs specifically for the artisans. And we can make it a waifu. Bad girl waifu. Just because I like drawing girls. And they get more attention on social media.
Macamillionus says. Non-dungeon crawler would involve a lot of stub toes and then death. Macamillionus says. Non-fiction /.
Non-fiction? Non-fiction dungeon crawler would just have you locked up in jail.
Macamillionus says. You can't crawl in a cell very well.
Nope. Let's see. Dungeon crawlers in general, though, I would love it if there were more just straight up dungeon crawlers that didn't have like a plot or anything, and like just let you go out and dungeon crawl and like accrue wealth and power to your team and have a freaking turn-based tactics battle system and all that good shit. Let's get some of that. Let's have Battle Brothers, but more dungeons. Ideal game right there. Battle Brothers, but more dungeons.
Cat with a mouse says. That's Pokemon Emerald Rogue.
Yeah, see, that would also be the ideal Pokemon game, except you'd be catching more Pokemon and whatnot.
Macamillionus says. Honestly, no side quests. Just deep diving. Floor levels on the side. Daladakarai Pop says. Man, I need to play more wizardry.
Alright, we're gonna put some mushrooms here. What color mushrooms do we want to put? I can never get a good mushroom color. Big old mushrooms here, as one does in a fantasy landscape. Oh no, I'm gonna have to shade this too.
Cat with a mouse says. Next game session should be interesting. With Wild Child, Ed might have a better chance of communicating with the Crytures of the woods.
You might have to give up on communicating with creatures of the woods. They don't really do that. Especially if you're trying to steal their food. There's a
Cat with
reason
the
to
mouse
use
says,
binding crystals.
I might give up, but Ed wouldn't. Probably.
Ed does what you make him do.
Macamillianus says, imagine trying to communicate with a honey badger.
What else can we do to this, guys? Let's see. Well, we definitely need more shading on the foliage here. Let's get some darker areas. Yeah, we're gonna need to be darker, even darker.
Cat with a mouse says, maybe a hint of the sun for lighting purposes.
We'll get to it, we'll get to it. We gotta go little bit by little bit on this, on the scenery.
Stream Elements says, good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
We'll get some overlapping stuff on here, obscuring some of the branches. Nice. Let's get a little bit of like shading on the actual tree trunks here. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll just leave those in the back as silhouettes. Sun. Let's talk about the sun here. There we go. Let's see. We definitely need some clouds too. We got a brush for that. Hell yeah. So much easier to do clouds when you have a brush. Let's get some blue on them. Nice. We could probably do with like a little bit of a rays coming down. Know what I mean? Let's see. Make it glow. Alright, we're gonna have to like ease up on this side of it because it's way too strong. But here, not so bad. We want to throw some details on the mushrooms. So we can just do this like normal shading. Hold on. Got my settings all jumbled up. There we go. And we gotta do some of this over here.
Looks like a mushroom to me.
Well, that's good because it is a mushroom. I have succeeded. Alright, now we go in with highlights. Get us some white. White.
Cat with a mouse says. At least those aren't parashrooms. Don't want to know what happens if you hit/eat those.
We should probably add like some little bumpy things on it, maybe, perhaps. Not like that. Do it like this. And then, here's what we do. We just take a chunk out of them.
Macamillion says.
And blend the edges.
I bet it tastes like crab and mushroom.
I wonder if you could even eat these. Or if it'd be more like trying to eat a tree. I'm thinking it might be like trying to eat a tree. Don't worry, Kohet, we're gonna blur the background before you say anything.
Macamillion says. Sometimes you just get a hankering for the flavor of tree.
Let's see. First, we can throw on some highlights, some rim lighting specifically.
Cat with a mouse says, to determine if those are edible, what skill/rolls would you need? Specialist skill perhaps?
Survivalist would tell you whether something is edible, I believe.
Rishimon Animates says, hi.
Hello, Rishimon Animates. How's it going? We're just here working on some art for my little tabletop game. Let's see. I'm going to be adding the highlights, and then that will mostly finish up this piece. Then we'll move on to making some NPC designs. And that'll probably take up the rest of the stream.
Resident Trev Albert says, bstbewaresonstreambo.com, remove
Oh.
the space, 5L1NPB73.
Twitch bots. That's interesting. He's using a weirdo bee to probably dodge being auto-flagged. Burn. He won't trouble us anymore. Alright. Let's do one more thing with the background and add a little bit of highlights on these. And we can just take this whole thing, put it in a folder, and duplicate all that. Merge all them layers, and now we can blur it. Yeah, there we go. We should probably stand to have the line art be a little bit lighter though. Let's go and tonal correct that. That looks alright. Hell yeah. Okay,
Cat
one
with a
more
mouse
thing.
says, Butterfly vs Moth, the eternal struggle.
Right? Last thing. We're gonna make some motion streaks.
Macamillianus says,
And let's see.
Neat, that B isn't even in the Wiktionary. LOL.
That'd be, oh, you seeing the weirdo B that the bot used, huh? Yeah, I don't even know where that B comes from.
Macamillianus says, got curious.
Let's see. Alright, now we can select all these things and we'll just delete that. Maybe reduce the opacity slightly. And that, I think that looks alright. Considering how much time it took, which was not much. I'll do a little refining on these things. Then we'll call it done. Oh no, what have I done? Oh, okay. Just put it on the wrong layer. That's all. Common artist complaint. Has to happen at least once every stream. I drew off the wrong layer. There we go. What do we think, boys? How's this looking? I'm gonna lean back for a second so I'm not hunched over for hours on end. Here, let me move my hand.
Macamillianus says, looks like it may have been a Latin variant. There is another Latin version with a dot on the bottom as well. Cat with a mouse says, comic book worthy.
Comic
Cohate
book
says,
worthy.
pretty good.
Nice. We got Cohet's okay. That means it's good. Now we're gonna have to come up with something else to do. But first, I should probably save it. Alright, let's save that as
Kohei
PNG.
Huh. I just like the dynamism.
Excuse me. Should I throw this on Twitter, perhaps? Right, meow? Oh, it just occurred to me.
Cat with a mouse says, do it.
It just occurred to me that there were 2 streams started on Twitter. I hope Twitter is actually coming through. For some reason it didn't want to pop out the chat. I don't see anybody in the chat though, so whatever. I never have nobody in Twitter. Let's see. Tweet.
Macamillionus says, was that why the chat is doubling? I can only see cat. LOL.
Yeah, the chat was doubling because I've got a different setup for the chats. Most of the chats are going through Restream, which consolidates the chats as long as you're like as long as it's an integrated platform. And I realized that it now has Rumble integrations, which means I can have like at least 3 of the 5 chats consolidated in that. And that means I can have 1 window open instead of 3. But I don't know if it does it for Twitter. I would suspect that it does, because I think it's also got integrations. But I'm not sure. I haven't heard from anybody in Twitter, so I'm not sure. Well, let's see. Illustrations. Folder. There we go. Flight Fight. That's what we're calling this one. Alright, let's see. What do we caption this to get all the viral likes and whatnot? How many emojis should I use? 30? Let's see. First I have to remember what these things are called.
Kohate says, don't forget the alert emoji, naturally.
Of course, of course.
Macamillionus says, I wouldn't know. XD.
Let's see. Well, first of all, I should push my Oshi marks on here. Let's see. We got the skull and the robot face. Hell yeah. That's how you know I'm
says,
speaking.
I'd just slap on blah blah something about a doodle and run with it.
No, we gotta give a call to action so people come to the stream when they see this beautiful image. So we're starting skull emoji, Frossom versus Flitter Knight from the stream, exclamation mark, robot face emoji. This next line, we're still drawing if you want to stop by to chat, exclamation mark. There we go. That's how you compose a tweet.
Says, exactly why I don't stream.
It's marketing, bros. It's marketing.
Cat with the
This
mouse
is what all the
says,
hustle bros on Twitter
Blossom PWNS Flitter Night.
it's what all the hustle bros on freaking on YouTube say. I forgot something. This image is not done.
Macamillion
We have to
says,
add something.
couldn't market myself out of the cardboard box.
You and me both, brother, but I try. You see something wrong with this? This is very one-sided, don't you think? Freaking Flitter Knight ain't even fighting back. We gotta change that.
Cat with a mouse says, realized what you mean. No galvanic attack.
Here we go. Shame that I already posted this. Oh well, I'll have a new version to post later when there's more people on Twitter, I guess. Let's see.
Had Ice Barlore Games says, Kohate, bags.
Patty, how's it going? I'm correcting something that I forgot before I posted this to Twitter.
Kohate says, Aloha Pad Ice.
We gotta give our boy Flitter Knight a chance in this fight. Let's see.
Cat with a
Alright.
mouse says, Patty, you gonna make it to the game session this time? Yes, I went there.
The boys could use some help in their creature hunting endeavors, to be honest.
Patty's Parlor says, can't stay super long, but I wanted to tell you I miss you and have a wonderful stream.
Aww. Alright. How many times am I gonna say that? think I probably should have done this the other... Nah, I'm doing it the right way.
Patty's Parlor says, game session next Saturday? Kohate says, the text-to-speech may call him Pad Ice, but in reality he's just Pad Nice.
If we can get people together, I would like to have another session next Saturday. I have not talked to people about it yet. Oh no. Wrong layer again.
Patty's Parlor says, thanks Co-Handsome. Stream Elements says, good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello. Cat with a Mouse says, I'll be there. You can, almost, always count on me.
Let's see, we might need to soften the edges of the actual lightning bolt itself.
Patty's Parlor says, I will be there, I'll be in the house by myself with nowhere to go.
Oh,
Patty's
okay.
Parlor says, Kitty says hello.
Sounds good. You just need to get Hunter and Evergrade back in, or one of the two. I've reworked the whole system I was using from last time for tracking down creatures. So I suspect that you guys would want to take another crack at that quest.
Patty's Parlor says, just tag everyone in the Crytures Discord.
Let's see. I guess this looks all right.
Cat with a Mouse says, hopefully the changes can help our brain in the clouds, Ed boy. Patty's Parlor says, I'll be RB.
These little additions are taking longer than I expected. Dang it. Let's try a little something.
Cat with a mouse says. Devil is in the details. Kohate says. Everyone knows that the last 5% of the work is 80% of the time.
You say everybody knows, but I don't think everybody knows. I think that's something the artists know, and everybody else forgets, or simply does not know.
Patty's Parlor says. Kitty says she'll try and join us too. Provided the kids are good for her.
Kitty? Alright. Added a little bit of a
Kohate
dark
says,
glow around the thing.
NGL, thought you were talking about a cat, and now I realize that this is props your missus.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, are we talking about having a cat on the stream, or is that a pet name?
Patty's Parlor says. Yeah, Kitty is Mrs. Parlor.
Okay. Alright, now this picture is done.
Cat with a mouse says. Cat on the stream does sounds fun.
We'll already have Psykid on the stream. We already have that. Okay.
Kohate says. I mean, it could not be a pet name. Some parents are really goofy.
What? You don't... You think some parents would name their kids something weird, like, I don't know, a freaking math equation or something? Who would do that?
Patty's Parlor says. Okay, BRB for real. Kyle the Dragon says. Hi.
Kyle, welcome back. Just caught us at the tail end of all this. Just sitting back, taking a second to review my handiwork and hope that this is actually done now. Because last time I finished it, it wasn't done. Let's see. So next up, the next... Excuse
Kyle
me.
the Dragon says. That looks good.
Well, thank you.
Cat with a mouse says. And enjoy a nice ponyless time.
Ponyless time. I was wondering why the stream kind of felt slow. But yes, Ponyboy's absence has slowed things down a little bit. Especially with Festiva popping out. But that's okay. Let's see. The next thing we got to do is draw us an artisan waifu for random mooks. Let's close these. Make sure this shiz is saved. Alright, everything looks like it's in order. Let's bring up some references. Where's the artisans at?
Kyle the Dragon says. I wanna draw cause I have 2 unfinished projects RN but I don't know what to do. Dash.
Oh. Art block, eh? You know what? We could probably
Kohate says,
redraw
my
some
pen
of
is so ready
the other stuff. Sometimes you just gotta sit down and force yourself to do the
Kohate
things.
says,
Which is why I
Kyle,
do this stream
just
every
draw.
week. And I cannot find the other thing. Oh, it's right there. Bada bing, bada boom. The artisans. These designs really could use an update. I don't know what this is. But we got some actual, like, weapon designs for these guys now. I literally drew these things, like, years ago. Let me look at this.
Kyle the Dragon says, WDYM just draw, it's not that easy bro.
It kinda is that easy. It might not feel like it's that easy, but the best way to get through art block is to just do it. You gotta get the bad energy out before the good energy flows. Let's see. Did I draw this first guy in 2020?
Kohate says, it's true, we're all artists here, you can do it.
Yeah, this
Cat
is
with the mouse
definitely an
says,
outdated design.
just be random. Creativity will eventually come.
So we're gonna use some of the themes on this, but we're also going to pull from some of these that we were working on before. The real question is, what kind of a character does the female artisan be like?
Kyla the Dragon says, Wahahahaha, I'm on both streams. Cat with a mouse says,
That's cool, Kyle, but
So
they
says
all
a
get
man who can't draw a
consolidated
thing.
in the same place
Kohate
on my
says,
chats.
and you've doubted me when I've told you you've been deving since 2018.
"2018, I don't know if Crytures was that long ago. Domain was. I was definitely working on Domain during that time. But yeah, 2020 sounds about right for the start of taking Crytures seriously. Before that, I think it was mostly just like a design doc that I might have had one picture for. So let's see. Let's get a new... You know what? I should base this on character art that I've already drawn. Here we go. What are the dimensions of this? 2,000 by 3,500. Okie dokie. New width 2,000 3,500. Female sized. There we go. How's this? Oh, we need to fix my settings. That's better. Alright. See, now I'm facing art block. We're just gonna have to doodle until something comes to me. That's the way we do it. Or look things up
Cat
on
with
the
the mouse
internet.
says, only question, how strong, physically, is she gonna be?
You mean, is she gonna summon Ponyboy? Let's see. let's look up fantasy girl in the image search, and
Cat with a mouse
it's
So,
scantily
not that
clad
strong
AI
then.
art.
Kohate says. Oh, excellent question, Kwong.
Let's see, the artisans are mainly supposed to be like from kind of lower class backgrounds. Let's see, what kind of weapons would feature that? Maybe something like a crossbow or something?
Kyle the Dragon says. How do you draw mouths, TT?
Here, let me give you a reference. You got that? Alright. Let's look at this. Let's see, spears are a pretty low-class style weapon. Maybe we'll make her kind of more of a ranger type. Give her like a bow or something. Let's just rough out a pose here. Head. Now we need to look up a pose. Oh, that is someone's fetish.
Kohate says. Mouths aren't fun, you should draw feet instead.
No! No feet.
Cat with a mouse says. Allow me to represent Pony to get it over with. Ahem. Make her a short-haired tomboy was my impression passable. Kyle the Dragon says. NGL I have to that too cause I'm drawing a full body.
That's a hand, guys. That's a hand. That's awful positioning. Have I ever told you guys how much anatomy sucks? Why can't we just be blobs?
Cat with a mouse says. At least 3 separate times.
Just 3? I gotta up my game.
Kohate says. But people are cool because of their anatomy
I guess. But slime girls, though. Holy hell, this looks bad.
Cat with a mouse says. Power Girl, She-Hulk, Catwoman, and Wonder Woman to name a few. Kohate says. The people like slime girls because they are first and foremost, girls. Kohate says. And not slimes.
I guess so.
Kohate says. You can trust me on this, I've done extensive research into the topic.
I believe it. I do not doubt your knowledge, only your taste.
Cat with a mouse says. Unfortunately, so do I. Kyle the Dragon says. Finally. A decent mouth.
You found your mouth, huh?
Kohate says. You know what, I'll take it. Best compliment you've ever given me.
Surely not.
Cat with a mouse says. Phrasing.
Oof. There, that's not so bad, I guess. Let's shrink her down a little bit so I can actually fit everything on here. Go ahead. Surely the best compliment I've given you is to simply ask for your advice on a thing. You know what? She's looking a little long. A little long in the torso.
Kohate says. If I was a serious person that might be the case, but I'm a gigantic narcissist, so who wouldn't ask for the advice of yours truly? Kohate says. /sarcasm. Cat with a mouse says. Give her ABS and a proper bust, and you'll be fine.
Now you're talking like a fetish artist. That's okay if her body is a little disproportionate, just cover it all with boobs. Nobody will notice.
What about an improper bust, Kwong?
Let's make these thighs a little not so big, and the legs in general. That's one of the things I keep messing up with the Pokemon style mimicry is they always have very slim legs. Well, I'm like, oh yeah, give me some big old turkey thighs in there.
Cat with a mouse says. You haven't seen Art of Critical Role's Bo Lionette? She's got ABS for days.
I haven't seen Art of anything Critical Role. I haven't seen Critical Role.
Stream Elements says. Good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
Alright. So now we got a body that I'm more or less content with. We're gonna have to do something about this knife. And yes, that is what that is. Oh!
Cat with a mouse says. Kohate, back me up, surely you've seen the art I'm talking about.
Kohate probably doesn't even know what Critical Role is.
Kohate says. Nah, I don't watch things.
Based. Why watch when you can create? Alright guys, let's start putting some clothes on. Actually, you know what? First, we should ensure that she is female.
Kohate says, I would like to watch more things, but then I have to stop doing the meaningful / productive hobbies. Cat with a Mouse says, guess I'm forever destined to be the odd man out in this group.
Alright, now we can start drawing the clothes on. Alright, we got the easy part out of the way. Now I have to actually think. Perhaps even design. Oh, I need to consult the game mechanics.
Kohate says, maybe you are a bit odd, CWAM, but that's what makes you special. Never change. Unless you're like a blight.
Wise counsel. Be yourself unless you're freaking annoying. Then don't be yourself. Let's see, we gotta find out what kind of armor such a character would wear. Let's see, a ranger would probably focus on sense and agility.
Cat with a Mouse says,
arming doublet,
I'm no blight, but I can
leather
swing from
jacket.
childish to annoying to proper gentleman.
Scaled leather, that's one I haven't really used much. That would
Kohate
also be
says,
very
What
annoying
about
to
improper
draw,
gentlemen?
to be honest. We're gonna try the arming doublet here. Haven't really used that in a character design before.
Cat with a mouse says. Not as much as Pony, but somewhat. If necessary for story beats or straight up laughs.
Let's see, we probably don't want it to be super long. Gonna have to come up with a hairstyle too. Oh boy.
Through the forest dark and grim they tread, conjurers bold with their robes of red, to track the spider swift and sly, yet danger watched with a hidden eye. Oh, woe betide the hunted prey, when shadows meet where the wild beasts play. The conjurers weave their magic fair, but peril lies in the forest snare. A pack of caterpillars, fierce and green, burst through the brush with
Alright, I'm noticing that the arms are different lengths.
pace shining like armored knights. The forest echoed with battle cries. Oh, woe betide
That's better.
hunted
A little bit.
when shadows meet where the wild beasts play. The conjurers weave their magic fair, but peril lies in the forest snare. Spell and claw in a fiery clash, starlight faint through the trees did flash. The conjurers stood, their powers ablaze, yet the swarm moved fast like a smoky haze. caterpillar rat.
Alright, something ain't right here with the angles. I don't think I've designed a knife for the artisans yet, so we're just gonna wing it.
Kyle the Dragon says, I finally finished the face I was doing 3 times for the rest of the body.
See, we knew you could do it. This ain't looking so right.
A conjurer's oath, no chance to regret. Vivid veil where the shadows gleam. Under the rule of a fairy's dream. Verdant king, your gaze I feel. A throne of leaves, a realm unreal. Bound by thorns, the forest stirs. Green flames burn, your magic purrs. Branches twitch with whisper.
Alright, we'll try it like so.
Secrets untold. Oath of the conjurer, forged in fire. Through the glades where mortals tire. Dare I brave the verdant king's might? A lord of wonders, veiled in night. Verdant
That'll work for now at least.
gaze I fear, yet
Cat with a Mouse says. Can't wait until we come across a female NPC that is taller than 6 feet during a session.
roots so deep, an ageless bond the world
Why?
shall keep.
Are you making Ponyboy small talk here? You're filling the void?
Winding streams with laughter laced, the valley breaks with ancient grace, yet cunning eyes behind the throng. A fairy king's call, the rhythm, the song.
Let's see, what do we want to do with the lower body?
Cat with a Mouse says. Strong women are beautiful and should be represented. Not trying to be a pony. I'm just weirded out by awkward silence.
Brother, strong women are like everything. They're like literally the only thing that gets represented these days. They're literally everywhere. You can't get away from them. Might I suggest watching Netflix? Or playing mainstream video games? The latest $80 AAA slop. How about that?
Cat with a Mouse says. Got Hulu and Tubi. Pretty sure I can find a strong anime woman somewhere.
Okay. Oh, I know what makes his hand look weird now. I was wondering about that, but the freaking... This thing down by the wrist was in the wrong direction. Okay, hold on. I need to check my belt lore. I always forget which way the things go. Alright, time to flip. Wish me luck. That's not too bad. A little tilt. tilt maybe is in order.
Kohate says, honestly, I'm just happy you remembered.
We're still at a stage where it matters. Real question though is, what kind of hair is she gonna have? Ponyboy's not here, so we can do whatever we want. And by that, I mean, I'm gonna do whatever I want. Let's see, let's look at what we have previously. So I kind of had this thing going on with like the bangs. Or just the shape in general. Like they got spikes. Very angular types of hair. Let's look at the other dudes. Obviously, Emily does not have all that going on. Actually, these guys might not be the best examples because they're kind of styled similarly to the creature they're based on.
Stream Elements says, good evening, mortal
We'll just
humans,
do
make sure you
something
subscribe to
simple
Diceback
here.
and say hello.
Let's see where it goes. Alright, FaceTime. Ooh, those eyes are too far apart. You know what? She needs a freaking quiver and whatnot. We're kind of missing some important things. For the equipment. Then we need a sheath for dagger. I think that might be a good place for the design to end here. Let me see. Let me look at what we got in here. Right, we got the bow type of thing. Yeah, we could have gone for the more throwing knife style thing. Oh well. Probably don't really need throwing knives and a bow. Let's clean up a little bit of the details and then we can send this to Patron.
Kohate says, the option is nice, just for aesthetics. Stream Elements says, hail Sangold and welcome to 6 Raiders. Agent _ says,
Sangold.
Sangang Raid. Sangold
Hello,
says,
Sangold and
Sangang
the Raiders. Oh,
Royal Wildfire
I'm screwing
says,
up already.
Sangang Raid.
Hey there, everybody. This is Dicebag, and we're working on some art for my Pokemon-inspired tabletop RPG.
Sangold
Basically,
says,
Pokemon meets D&D.
hi cute Vtuber plus art.
There you go. This is what we started out with in the stream. It's a little more impressive than my sketch, so take a gander at that, I guess. Gotta get this first impression going. I don't know how much longer we'll go tonight, but we're still chugging along. How's your stream going, by the way? We're slowing down over here.
Agent _ says, we love a good chug.
Good chug.
Sangold says, it went well, drew a bit ourselves.
Ah, more artists. The artist following grows. So yeah, he's just finishing up this design. This is basically like one of the Team Rocket characters, type of characters.
Kohate says, you see that dice, they called you cute. You are one of those VTubers after all.
Go ahead. Q is not the same thing as a thirst tuber. Thank you very much. Let's see. What else can we be doing? Perhaps we should redesign like one of these older ones. We could probably take a crack at this guy and like update his weapons to something that's a little more in line with the current state of things. Then again, that guy is on a freaking PSD file.
Kohate says, now all you need to be is funny, then you're basically Gwargura Kuni even.
I don't know if you're jinxing me or what, but I don't think that's how it works. Alright, Bros Rock needs a little redesign here. Also, this is a good opportunity to fix up the line art. Why is the background locked? Get out of here. Okay. Whatever. Alright, let's see. This dude. Needs an actual sphere here. Don't worry, Discord guys, I'll get the sketch posted at some point. Okay, actually it's Kohep asking. He wants to draw fan art. Is probably what that means. I should save it. That's what I need to do, save the image. We'll call this one the Artisan Scout. There we go. Alright, there's a sketch in Discord. Happy now? Now we can continue fixing the guy who needs it.
Kohate says. Yeah, actually.
Actually. And this freaking staff is not what that should look like. We got an example of a staff. We can rip right off. Let's see. I pull this up on my second monitor. Oh, what happened? Discord died. Alright, everything's back up. And circle. Ah. Okay. Here we go. Alright, this side is a little lopsided. We got this little almost claw thing going on here. There we go. Not entirely sold on the little foreshortening I did on the staff there. Won't see too much, I guess. Alright, we're gonna have to do a little more than just a few details, I think. To get this guy up to current art standards instead of 2020's art standards. For example, his feet be big. That's a little better. We can kind of squish this one up a little bit. And we'll fix the hang on his robes. Alright, now what do we need to fix on the colors? That is the question. Yeah, all this needs to be different. And the orb.
Shadows we tread with care. Conjurers unite, we're well aware. In the heart of the maw lies grim despair. Eldritch fear makes us all beware. Mystic runes glow in the midnight air. We chant our spells with fiery flare. Echoes of darkness all around. In the abyss, our courage is found.
Gotta get rid of all the layers so I can actually see what's going on in the base one.
Past, haunted souls in the shadows cast. We hold fast to magic unsurpassed. Our sorcery summoned ever fast.
Oh no! I gotta turn on
Cat with a mouse says,
editing layers.
time for me to go. See you at the session.
Alright, we'll see you around, Cat. We'll have to get in touch with everybody on Discord about that. Remind me to say something if I forget.
Kohate says, CWAM.
Alright. Now much more. Let's see. Just gotta fix this stuff.
Stream Elements says, good evening, mortal humans, make sure you subscribe to Dicebag and say hello.
Thank you, Geronimo, for reminding new lurkers. Oh no, I'm getting into the patterns. You know what? We don't have much more to do, I don't think. I do need to get the center thing on the orb, though. And it should not be a perfect circle because it's at in perspective. Alright, let's see the state of the shadows. Shading is really dark on this one. Let's lighten that up a tad. Alright. Now we just need to soften the edges a
Kohate
bit.
says, wrong chat room, FRFR. He's looking better.
Alright, I have some gaps that need to be dealt with here. And I'm drawing outside the lines. Overlay layer ain't looking too bad. Might not need to do much to that. We could add a little bit. Wait a second. A little bit here. And I am still annoyed by the black line art on this, so I'm going to real quick put some color on this thing. That's a little better. Less offensive. Anyways, let's see. How did I shade? Okay, so I did put a shadow on it. And then, let's see. I guess we should also put a little bit of a highlight on
Kohate
it.
says, no old vestiges will survive the updates. Kohate says,
We are bringing this.
all black lines must go UU.
We are bringing this up to current dice bag standards, or at least as close as I'm willing to get. Right, meow. Let's see. Let's put some glow on this bad boy. Let's scooch him over a little bit first so the glow does not cut off on the edges. Let's see. Nothing special going on here, just the glow. Glow layer. Low hardness. Low opacity. And we'll do basically that same thing over here. And erase some of this out. Hell yeah. Alright. We've got like one final detail I need to add though. The freaking patterns all over this thing.
Kohate says, why don't the artisans have a page under organizations UU?
Because you can't be one yet. They're a mystery, Kohate. You're not supposed to know things about them. Oh no. May have drawn on the designs from the other layers.
Kohate says, Selene.
There we go. Let's compare. We got old and busted, new hotness. You know what? One thing you might agree with my old self. Is that it might look better to have his face more in shadow.
Kohate says, substantial glow up, although it does look like a rank up in a gacha game, LMAO, please keep the old one too.
Alright, I'll keep the old one around. What's going on here though? Why is his beard? Oh, that's right. Face is on a different layer. There we go. Now where's the eyeball? The pupil at though? Pupil's freaking... The hell am I doing? What was old Diceback doing? I don't know. He just drew the freaking pupils on the same layer as all this. Like, what's going on, buddy? Let's fix this. There we go. You know what? I think I will increase the opacity a little bit on that shadow layer. Here we go. Alright, now we can save this as an actual CSP file for the program that I still actually use.
Blinded by their bold desire, mortals sought to harness fire.
Let's rename the original file.
And shadows spread. Among their marvels none were spared.
And we'll just save this guy as the whole regular thing. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright. I think it might be time to wind things down. Let's see. How is our current situation? Do we have people around for some raids? I got a few on Rumble. Nobody hanging around on Twitch. Alright, let's I mean, it looks like you made an emoji, but it won't tell me what that emoji is, Kohet. Let's see. We can find somebody on Rumble to raid, probably. My feed. Hey, Dingus. Let's send. Well, we got Dingus, we got Schmal, we got Shiroi, all streaming on Rumble right now. Who you want to go to? Who do we want to send our boys to? I'm taking votes. Nobody? Nobody? Okay. Let's get Dingus. We'll send a raid over to Dingus with what I got left. Alrighty. Let's get the outro music going. And we'll call it quits here. I'll start up the raid here. Bam. Confirm raid. There it goes. Alright. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.